Great. Okay.
And there you go.
Let's just wait for it to hit my interwebs. Set out the tweet and get rocking and rolling. There you is.
It should be live.
Yeah, I know you. Okay. Twitter. There you are.
What? Closing the door real quick.
Okay.
TV's loud.
Your freaking TV's loud, HK! Alright.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's
Hello.
fine. Hello, everyone. Hello. So, due to a service internet interruption last time, everyone was left hanging. Tyrath had just departed, and I was in the midst of explaining poor Dex Delaney's reaction to the to what he just witnessed. So if it's okay by you guys, unless you have any questions or anything like that before we get started, I wouldn't mind starting things off by just setting the scene, Dex's reaction, and then we, naturally continue where we left off. Sound good to you guys?
Go for it.
Okie dokie. Good. 1 second, people are calling nerds. It's in chat. You're a nerd. All right. There we go. I'll show him. That'll show him. All right. So, when we last left off, you're down underneath the Rhapsody nightclub, which you had been staying at for at least a few weeks, your stay here in the Sable dimension. You, Dex Delaney, and yourselves, Lavin and Ellie and Frank Peterson, all were assembled in the dank vault-like room under the ground by the kind of offshoot from the Veldis city sewer system. The gray walls and cracked floor still reverberate with a hint of energy, a smell of ozone in the air that follows that bright purple flash that marked the disappearance of both Tyrath and his two companions and your two very temporary allies, the tattooed woman and the man made of obsidian stone. A heavy quiet hangs in the air, almost as tangible as the ozone itself, until the first moment of movement is Dex Delaney, slumping against a nearby wall, his shoulder hitting it with a thud, as he shakily takes his hat from his head, clutches it close to his chest, as he says, "Well, I'll be damned. I knew..." Obviously, the further I got to... Why is he a Western accent? Just a second. I gotta have to play the Dex Delaney music as well. That'll get me in the mood. Ooh. Yes.
That is true.
There we go.
Ooh.
Yeah. Dex Delaney says, "I knew you cats were into some strange, unable to believe doings, but I had no idea that something like that could just poof out of existence. I guess that explains how you all got here."
Patrick is nodding along with him until the last statement where he starts shaking his head no. There's a lot to unravel from, I guess, us as a group. But
Unravel. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Dex Delaney brings a hand up to his chin and rubs at the scruff in thought. Go ahead, Piph.
Patrick looks down at the device
Yeah, the device is still there. That slab of crystal, the size a little bit larger than a large textbook. It lies in your hand. It's not very heavy. It's probably about the weight of a dinner plate, so to speak. You can see its cool, reflective surface shine back at you, slightly reflecting your own face into it. Now, out of curiosity, Piph, since you have this, Patrick has this implement in his hand. Tyrath explained how it worked, which is you consciously think of a time period, a specific time. So, for example, 15 days ago, right, when the travelers were assumed to have shown up.
Mhm.
And then it alerts you to to any sort of temporal or spatial disturbances that happened during that time. So the question is are you thinking of that time right now, or you just having an empty mind, for lack of a better word, when looking at this device?
My mind is focused on Dex Delaney at the moment.
Okay, so no problems then.
You look down at it and say, well, I think it was 20% that we agreed upon.
Dex Delaney exhales slowly, a little bit of shake and quiver to his voice, as he feebly puts his hat back on his head and reaches for his pack of cigarettes. Taking out a cigarette and putting it in the corner of his mouth, he says, "Yeah, but right now money is the last thing that I'm thinking of." What the people that you're after, that giant dinosaur creature was talking about, what's the story with them?
Patrick thinks for a moment. I'm not entirely sure. Called the. My mind keeps saying the Wanderers, and that's not it.
They don't
Travelers.
have a specific name. They're just known to travel throughout different dimensions as a part of their migration patterns. So you guys have nicknamed them the Travelers, but Wanderers works as well.
We've been calling them the Travelers, and this is honestly the first step in just finding them. But it seems to be linked and the key to helping us prevent a world-ending catastrophe.
Catastrophe, says Dex. These travelers are yours. Do they look like me and you? Or, mostly human?
Patrick has a little bit of a saddened expression on his face. We honestly have very little information about them.
I see, he says. Well, I ask this because, I think it's about time I tell you about Balzac and what happened up there. I was chasing after a missing persons. It happens from time to time, especially in a city like Velda City. And my clues, my sources, and my line of questioning all led me up to the north of the city, to a little mining town called Balzac, easily 80 miles away from the urban city itself. When I got there were rumors, you see. Lots of rumors of strange sights. Something out of science fiction flicks or those newfangled kiddie magazines of strange beings, supernatural stuff. Ridiculous, I thought. But I chased it. And honestly, he says, all I remember is a haze in my mind and a feeling in my heart that something strange, something wrong happened up there by Balzac. But for the life of me, I can't recall what it is. Sometimes I think I get it in dreams, but when I wake up, it's gone. Now, maybe you're travelers or some of these strange sights that people see. Maybe there's no link. But if you're headed up that way, you want your payment? How would I substitute it for me going with you? Maybe if we are all together, maybe my memory will clear up a little bit. Maybe I'll get the answers that I seek.
I mean,
Seems-
yeah, but we don't mind you coming, right?
Yeah, I don't
No.
mind.
Good, he says as he finishes his cigarette, stamping it on the concrete ground. As he exhales the final smoke, hazing past his eyes and the brim of his hat. Then, if you want to go as soon as possible, I'm ready too.
I mean, honestly, nothing that we could see would be worse than what you just saw. So if you can take that, I guess you can take just about anything we've ever seen.
The mind is a crazy thing, says Dex Delaney. People can rationalize, lie, deceive, to others and themselves. Me, to be honest, I think I'm still processing. I'm trying to get it through my skull exactly what I saw. But I wouldn't be a detective worth a damn if I didn't have a hunch, if I didn't have instinct, you see. And my instinct is to stop ask questions about what I see and follow you and work with you to get to what I want to know.
Patrick is now going to convert most of his attention to this disc,
Okay.
and there was the 15-day period that they were told about them
Yep.
coming in. So I
Mhm.
think he'll try for that.
Okay. On the slab itself, let me get rid of this little Rhapsody mock-up. Just kind of give you an idea of visual representation here. Just one little moment. Oh, right is perfect. And now, I'm assuming you guys can see the red circle with the slash in it on the.
I absolutely can,
mhm.
yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good. So, when you start focusing on the 15-day period, Patrick, all of a sudden, the somewhat opaque milky white crystal hardens to something much more solid, a much more opaque white. And lifting from it, almost like the lines are made from the stone itself, is a circle with a simple slash at the top, as you've seen right there. In addition, it's important to note that this is in true blue color. This is absolutely no black and white grayscale that permeates the rest of the Sable dimension. And as you move with it in your hands, this same shape seems to make small adjustments if you move a little bit to the north or south and moves this way and that. And it's very clear that this entire... Wait, hold up a second. Come on, you stupid line! Don't make a loser out of me. Alright, there we go. Oh no! Cannibal, no. All right. Oh, come on. There we go. It continues to move. The arrow clearly pointing you to a certain direction as you move around, directly relative to where you're facing.
Seems like that's the direction then.
Well,
Good enough.
Al would look at it and he'd go, and so no matter what direction he turns, it will still point the same direction.
Precisely.
Al will go, well, looks like we have a direction.
Patrick nods and stares down at it, still taking in the color of this.
Mm-hmm.
And tries to figure out how to turn this thing off.
You can't see a way to turn it off. There's no switch or button or anything like that.
Let's try thinking of I guess just turning off.
And with that, the lines in the gemstone or the crystal-like slate disappear as it once again returns to its natural semi-translucent state.
Okay. Patrick says while kind of looking at it a little closer. He then goes, we probably don't want to leave this on. But hopefully we can find a nice place to look at this when we need to gain more directions.
Al would
Dex-
go, sure, if you feel so.
Well, I wouldn't be wanting to walk down the street with something blue, would you?
Yeah, that does seem like it might catch a few eyes.
So with that, what would you guys? What's your plan of action, my friends?
Ooh, I guess periodically in safe places turn this on and off, just to make sure that we have a general direction of where this is going,
Okay.
and then maybe get into a car and drive.
Yeah, I'm curious. So we're going to go
wait.
find this. There's a chance that we might not be coming back, and it's not like we can pick the bar up and move it with us. And we're not. I mean, there's no reason why we would be 100% assured that when we go, the Rhapsody would go with us. Maybe it'd be best to take extremely valuable items with us just in case.
Yeah,
Pack
might
'em
be a
in the
good
car.
idea.
All right. Let me know which extremely valuable items you want to take with you.
Lee.
The Star Kabosu, definitely. Lee,
Man, you and that Starkabosu. God damn.
Lee, no.
No, Lee stays here.
Really?
Nah, I'm just kidding. We'll put him in the trunk. Anyways, I think. Nah, I'm just joking.
I know.
Definitely sharp. Definitely the holy shotgun. Definitely my holy blade.
And certainly the magic items we got, we quote unquote acquired from the Baron.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I guess it'd be hard to name all of them, but my usual ones like Ed, the ring.
Yeah, my ISP necklace.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, the normal stuff I carry with me, medical pack, the PP,
Alright.
EU necklace, that kind of thing.
Works for me. So Dex Delaney definitely has to 100% go with you.
Mhm.
Since I'm going to leave Lavin and Ellie behind since they're not with us, and I'd rather not NPC other player characters.
Mhm.
Is there anyone else that you want to make sure to come with you? Or are you guys fine with this small, for lack of a better word, scouting group?
I did kid, but I think Lee would probably be the most understandable for, I'm assuming, dimension hopping.
That is absolutely right. He is an expert in shifter magic. It's his specialty. And he'll
So-
happily go along with you.
So again, like if we do end up dimension hopping, would it be possible to maybe just bring all the NPCs but just not utilize them, or just say that they're in a car behind us or something?
No, I'd rather not. No, I'd rather not just. I'd rather explicitly say who's going and who's not going, right? Because you guys are entering into the unknown, right? So I don't want to have any sort of metagame knowledge or anything like that. And
Well,
besides, let's think about it. Say you dimension hop, like you dimension hop somewhere else, right? You entered on a ship, and now it's a building. Are you going to be taking the building and the behemoth parking and all your cars and vehicles and boxes and stuff with you?
Well, no, yeah, that was my concern from the start, is that I don't know if any of that comes with us. So if we leave any NPCs here, they might not go with us to the next dimension. That was my worry.
Why are you assuming that you're going to be heading to, like, just stepping through a door and heading into another dimension without going back from it?
Right,
With
I'm
no
just
chance of.
I'm just not
Mhm.
assuming anything. That's the point. I don't know what'll happen. It's possible.
Well-
like I said it's possible we might not be coming back. I don't know.
Well, there you go. So make your decisions however you like. But if you want to take NPCs with you, we take NPCs with you. If you don't, you don't.
I think just Lee for this.
Sure, I'm good with that.
We have the other guy on radio, the guy who was on radio with us, and the
Marlis Stodge
yeah.
in August. Yeah. Do you want Marlis to come directly with you, or to keep on monitoring the radio with August, just so you're within communications with the bulk of the group back at the Rhapsody?
I really like that second idea. Yeah.
Great. Superb. So, anything else you guys want to do or say before I bundle you all in a vehicle and have you start following the direction of your, for lack of a better word, and Glissom had a good point to it, a mystic compass? Or portal detector, perhaps.
I'm good with it.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm ready to go.
Kidoke, wonderful. So, Dex and your three selves, after conferring with many of your companions, and along with Lee too. The five of you enter into one of the vehicles, one of the ones that are in the best repair and shape, and whatnot. Giving a small goodbye, packing up your small belongings just in case. You head, you begin to follow the discreet sign of the crystal slab in Patrick's possession, and it does appear to be pointing you north. Following the roads and whatnot, you leave Veldis City behind. It is... Shit, what time was it when we left off last session? Wait, let me think. You did rest the night.
Yeah, so it would definitely be at least the morning, maybe the afternoon.
You went to meet up with Dex.
And there was the dumpster diving lessons. That took some time too.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Okay. Give me just one moment here. I gotta, besides squeeze BRB anyway to grab his food, so this gives me an opportunity to reflect on the time. That is one of the hardest things to do as a GM, is keeping track of all the time, because you're keeping track of so many other things too, right? So unless it's super integral to the plot, people just say, it's day, it's night, it's morning, it's afternoon, which we might have to do as well. We'll play the safe point and say early afternoon. At or just after lunch. That's what we're going to do. So, leaving Veldis City behind, you soon enter into the north of the city itself, driving along first paved roads, but soon some of the roads turn out to be gravel or just hard-packed dirt. Patrick, you're assisting. You check the compass, for lack of a better word, from time to time as you drive. And although you're not making a perfect direction, since it seems to be going, since you have to follow the roads and don't want to hit the farming, the farms and the glades and the groves and the hills that you're driving through, you do make relatively go to work following this. However, you drive for hours, 5 to be precise, and it is then that you do notice that your vehicle is starting to get low on gasoline. Thankfully, in a wide spot in the road, so to speak, there seems to be a small gas station, convenience store, and a few homes off the side. The homes are somewhat ramshackle, at least 10, 15 years old, made of wood, simple single-story dwellings. The gas station itself has 2 gas pumps in that kind of old-time style you might recall of retro diesel and gasoline pumps of the time. Spitting image, all grayscale as everything else. The convenience store has a big sign on it, says Pete's Gas and Grub, in which, on the front stoop of it, is an old-timer. He looks to be in maybe his mid to late 50s. Scruffy, hard skin, like leather, very tanned as well. He has a black and gray beard sticking out underneath a kind of floppy hat stuck upon his, large ears, as he's slowly smoking a pipe as he watches your vehicles roll on in to fill on up. Getting up from his rocking chair, he says, welcome. Ooh, shall I fill her up there for you?
Patrick leans out of the window. Yeah. Sir?
No need to call me sir unless you're a policeman or my father, since he's passed quite a few years ago. You can just call me Pete, he says, as he hobbles down the stairs and grabs the pumps and starts filling it up. In the meantime, Dex himself and Lee get outside of the vehicle to stretch their legs, as Dex steps far, far, far away from the gasoline pump to light a cigarette. As the pump is being filled, outside the front of the house next to this little convenience mart is a woman who looks to be the contemporary of old Pete there, in her early 50s or so, in a plaid dress. And a young boy, approximately the age of 7 or 8 years old. His face is filled with freckles, and he is pulling a little wooden dog with little wheels on it from a string. And he's pushing it down the road back and forth, playing. It is while he's doing this that he catches the eye of a distant smoking Dex Delaney. as he says, "Oh, hi again, Mr. Delaney. Are we going to play hide and seek again?" To which Dex Delaney turns his head, looks towards the freckled kid, and goes pale as a ghost as he says, "What? What are you talking about?" To which the older woman runs very, very quickly over towards the child, picks him up, and she says, "Oh, nothing, sir. He must have got you mixed up with someone else." Joshy, be quiet now. Don't bother the nice man. Dex's cigarette falls from his lips, and he says, "No, he called me by my last name. Ain't no one know this. Why are you looking me at like that?" In which both the child, the woman, and the older gentleman all kind of give wary glances towards Dex. The gas pump in the old timer's hand drips a few drops of gasoline before he slowly puts the pump back onto the rack. He says, "No need to get all ornery there, sir. Just a simple misunderstanding is all. You might want to get going. I hear the mists are gonna blow on through. Don't want you to get lost or anything like that. Best you turn around."
Okay. Al would say, and he'll kind of lean in close to Patrick. Patrick, any idea how close we are?
There is no distance meter on the crystal, unfortunately, or anything that can be interpreted as such. Sorry, on the crystal slab.
Al would then look over to Dex and say, "Your call. You're the one that's, well, I agree. This is very odd."
Dex slowly stomps over towards Congregated, pulls Lee's arm aside, who is looking suspiciously over at the old timer. As he gets in the vehicle, closes the door, and he puts a hand on Patrick's shoulder, and he says, "Don't go. Just want to talk here, real quiet like." His voice very low in a hushed whisper. "I ain't never seen these people before, but as I said, the closer we're going north, the fuzzier my memory gets. I don't like not knowing at all. And I don't know who these people are." Lee says, "Well, they ain't magic, that's for sure. I don't sense anything, at least. So if they do have some sort of otherworldly powers, it's subtle. Nothing overt. No illusions, nothing like that."
How unlikely is it that you just simply have no memory of this place for natural reasons?
"Oh, like I'm going nuts," says Dex.
Al shakes
"Yeah,
his head.
I thought of that. You what? You think there's something wrong with my melon?"
Well, Al kind of like looks a little uncomfortable. With heavy drinking, sometimes the individuals can black out, and it is not uncommon for them to lose memories of the night before.
"That makes sense," says Dex, "except one problem. That kid called me by my name, and that mother or grandmother, whoever she is, she corrected him, saying that he made a mistake."
Good point. If it was simple or simple innocent memory loss, why
Misremembering.
would they care?
Exactly. So we either drive on or we dig deep.
Let's drive on. See what happens.
for now. We can always come back on our way through.
Mm-hmm.
Dex gives a big intake of breath, exhales slowly, and says, "Okay, that's what I wanted to come along here for. For your expertise, I guess. Go ahead, drive on." What?
Patrick does actually turn around and go, "Look, as much as we don't know anything about the area we're going to, almost anything about anything. But if I'm taking what I do have for information, Dex, I know you're curious about this, and I think this is worth investigating, just to get a clearer mind."
He crosses his arms and says, "Their defense is already up around me, and I don't know if it's going to be any better with you. But when I get confused, I get snappy. And to be honest, my emotions are running a little hot for any sort of probing questions. If you want to ask around on my behalf, that'd be much appreciated. I'll crack a window here, listen in. If there's anything funny, I'll let you know."
Patrick looks to the others.
Lee gives a small nod. He says, "I'd have to agree with you, Patrick. It's no good entering into the unknown with no information. Even if these people lie through their teeth or we don't get anything, we can at least get some sort of feel, a hint, a clue, something to give us some sort of control. If we are entering an area ripe with dimensions or portals, I'm sure there's quite a bit of chaos or confusion."
Al would shrug. I mean, we're in no rush, so I don't see a harm in it.
Lee would kick the back seat, looking towards Tom.
Sure. We can ask some questions. I'm just not entirely sure what to ask. Although that mists stuff sounded pretty weird.
Start with that, suggests Dex. Ask about the mist. Ask about the weather. People love to talk about the weather.
True. All right. And Tom will get out of the car.
Okay.
As he does that, Al would be like, Dex, you don't know anything about this town, do you? Its history, anything notable about it at all?
No, he says. We're not quite in Balzac yet. This is just some sort of gas pumping station. They're littered throughout the highways, everywhere around here.
Al would nod and get out and follow Tom.
As Tom
Mhm.
Emerges from the vehicle, Pete kind of pulls his hat back so you can kind of see his eyes. He has moppy long hair and these very, very dark eyes that look at you, and he gives a small, polite smile and says, "Sorry about all that confusion. That'll be $3, please."
Oh, okay, no problem. And Tom will go ahead and pay the men.
Sure. He takes the $3 and puts them in his work overalls there. As he says, "Well, safe travels," as he begins to meander back towards his rocking chair, placing the pipe squarely in between his teeth. Patrick, do you emerge from the vehicle as well?
Let's see. I think he's gonna stay back for now because ganging up on people would probably not be the best
Okay.
at the
All right. So you
moment.
hang back with Lee and Dex. Great. In the back of the car, while Tom and Al are chatting with these folks, Lee will give Dex a head up that he's going to be doing some incantations. So if he sees him waving his head around or saying real words, not to panic. It's just what he does. Dex, mind boggled by the events that have happened in the past 24 hours, simply nods in understanding. As Patrick, you notice that Lee is casting a few spells, detection sensitive type spells, just so he can get a better idea of what is or is not around this indiscreet gas uh, gas station and store.
Mhm.
So, Al and Tom, what you like to do?
Well, okay, so I really want to look into this, but I'm kind of with you, Tom. Like, I'm not sure what to ask.
I
Maybe
think
just-
asking about the fog might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Tom, I'll follow your lead.
Okay. Hey, sir, and he's gonna try and talk to the guy that just sat down.
The fellow takes the corncob pie out from in between his teeth and he says, Pete.
Pete. So you mentioned the fog not so long ago, right?
Yes, of course. I warned you about it. It's not good to be driving. Headlights suck up fog like you wouldn't believe. Misty area, which is strange, typically found in lowlands, but this is above sea level. Not too sure, I'm not a scientist, you see. Just been living here all my life, so I know the mist and I know fog, and you feel that dampness in the air there, son?
Mm-hmm.
That's the big indicator. That and my bum hip, he says as he pats the left side of his, hip. As he says, when that starts acting up and I feel the dampness in the air, mists are coming. You bet your sweet patootie.
Interesting. Does it happen often? Like,
Oh,
say, every
often.
Tuesday?
Well, I don't know if you could set your clock to it, but we get fog at least 2-3 times a week, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Have you heard about the town up north, Balzac?
Oh, yeah, of course. He says everyone knows Balzac. People travel here and there, mostly miners heading from their community up to the big city to, I'm sure, drink and whore and other such things. In which, when he says whore, his female contemporary says, Pete, stop with that talk right now. Come along here, Jacob. As she grabs the young boy and hauls him back into the nearby house.
Very interesting. You do see a lot of traffic between here and Balzac, right?
Well, I suppose what you mean by a lot. He says it depends on the season, of course. But yeah, I would say there's a fair share.
Like 3 people a week?
Maybe a bit more, he says. I don't really take census as they come on by. I just run my pump. I will say this. You're the first ones going north to Balzac in a little while. Probably 2-3 weeks. But I'm sorry, son. To answer your question, I'd say about maybe 5-6 a day.
Okay.
Sometimes more on the weekends. You know, like I said, Valdez City. Ugh.
Gotcha. And Tom's gonna look over to Al and shrug. He's out of questions.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here. I'm just not sure. Like, out of character, I'm not sure how to approach this exactly. Because like, here's the problem. You look for inconsistencies. You know what he said? It all just kind of made sense to me.
Well, the inconsistency is that usually you're not supposed to see fogs in this elevation. But it is fairly frequent, which means that, to me, it's likely a rift that happens every few days nearby.
Oh,
That's what I'm thinking.
I did not think about that. And by the fact that you couldn't set a clock to it, maybe the rift is inconsistent in when it appears. Doesn't really help solve the mystery of this place, but that is good information.
And we are the first ones to actually go that direction in a while.
You
Most people are
know,
seen coming from there.
yeah, I'm thinking of approaching this from a slightly different angle.
Hmm.
Al would stretch a little bit, and he'd say, "Actually, we've been in the car for so long. You don't mind if I just kind of take a walk around, stretch the legs for a bit, do you?"
Old Pete gives a small nod and scratching his chin with a gnarled thumb, he says, go ahead, stretch your legs. Just I ask you to obviously mind privacy. There's a little stream out back there if you need it. And go ahead, he says.
Oh, yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thanks. And he'll look like, is the kid anywhere in view? Because I know that the lady kind
No,
of moved them
he was
off.
full
But
back.
yeah.
Yeah, she put him back inside the small wooden house nearby.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, then he'll say thanks, and I'll start taking a walk around. And if I can't think of any question to ask, maybe I'll just see what I can see.
Ain't not much to be looking at, he says. Just a big old wide spot in the road. But you city types are always queer, so go ahead.
All right, and then I'm going to just do a once over of the gas station in the surrounding area, see if I see anything out of place or curious or what I would. And obviously, Al hasn't grown up around a lot of gas stations, but to the best of my knowledge,
Mhm.
anything that might be odd.
Okie dokie. Tom, anything you're doing in the meantime?
Um, I think he's going to be kind of wandering around, but near the car.
Okay.
Like, not explicitly getting inside, but kind of leaning on it, seeing where Al goes and whatnot.
Okay. Um, Pete seems to be rather content, smoking his pipe, rocking back and forth as you mill around as the other fellow, as Al, wanders along the property itself, stretching his legs, quote unquote. Al, I'll get to you in a moment, but
Sure.
but Pete does engage you, Tom, in some small talk as you're milling around. He says, "So, as I said, you folks from the city don't normally head up towards Balzac. What's the reason, if I may ask?"
Oh, we're just investigating a couple of things. We're interested
Investigating.
in. Yeah, there. Have you heard of this golden rabbit thing over near uh, the city, Velda City?
He takes out his pipe and scratches his neck with it and twists his face in a strange contortion of recollection. He says, "Golden rabbit, rabbit.
Yeah.
Oh, sculptor type, contest, right?
Yeah, that. There.
Yeah. Oh, you're looking for. You're about 8 years too late there, son.
Well, there.
But good luck. I don't think anyone's looked by Balzac before.
Yeah, exactly. Have you heard of Albert Sweet?
Sweet.
Guy that owns all the mining things.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. He don't own the mines up here in Balzac, from my understanding. So it
Yeah.
took me a while to figure out what we were talking about. Yeah. What about him? You hired by him?
No, but turns out he had a clue, and it pointed up north. That's what we're
Oh.
looking at.
Well, if you say so, he says, as he fills back his pipe.
Hey,
Meanwhile, oh, sorry, go ahead, Tom.
worst case scenario, we just waste an afternoon. It's fine.
And $3, he
That's
says.
true.
That's okay. I'll take your money. It still spends, he says with a
Hmm.
bit of a chuckle to himself. A raspy sound. Al, as you look around the property itself, if you start wandering along the side of the convenience store, and you see a lot of local vegetation, big, large, leafy trees, kind of dotting the property. The grass grows out, wildly for about 30, 40 feet or so before it starts to disappear into some little natural light woodland. Um, the back of the convenience store itself doesn't seem all that fancy. There's a single mesh door on the back, a couple windows that seem a little dirty, a little grimy or so. Some wood block, an axe put into the wood block itself, a couple old barrels, what appears to be some odd spare car parts, kind of meandering around the back as well. Sure enough, you can hear the sound. You can still hear me, right, Squee?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, great. You can hear along when you're in the back around the droning voice of Pete and Tom's voice as well as they engage in some chit chat. You do hear the soft babble of what may be a small stream or brook, although you can't quite see it through the vegetation itself. A couple low bushes are in the way. However, there's one other sound that you do hear, and it's a small little tapping sound on glass. Looking towards that tapping noise, you notice that next door to the convenience store, of course, is that single story house that both the child and the mother or grandmother disappeared into. And through a cross-beamed window along the back of the house itself, you see little tiny fingers tapping up against that glass.
Al would not go all the way to the window, but kind of head
Uh-huh.
that direction until maybe he could catch the eyes of the little tiny fingers.
Sure. You carefully and discreetly circle around around the berth, around the back side or the back of the house itself, and sure enough, the little fingers are attached to a freckled face, who gives a big smile and a wave towards you, and he brings his hands down to the bottom of the window and lifts it up just a little bit, maybe about a half a foot or so, as he sticks his little head underneath, his chin resting on the windowsill, as he says, Hey, where are you from?
Hey, I'm from Velda City.
Oh, wow, he says. Your ears are kind of funny. Why are your ears funny, mister? Are they like that in people in the city? Pop there says that people in the city are strange folks. And you seem nice, but yeah, kind of weird. Your ears are weird.
No, it's just one time when my mother was telling me I didn't listen enough. She grabbed my ears really hard, and they just, boop, came like that.
You must have gotten in a lot of trouble when you were a kid.
I did.
Yeah,
But it
I'm
was
in trouble
fun.
too. He says I'm supposed to stay in my room, but I wanted to talk to you. You seemed interested.
Well, I was going to go to the river and look for toads or something of that nature.
Oh
But-
yeah, I catch toads and little fishes too. Yeah. Stream's pretty nice. Not
But
a lot
if
of
you're,
toads around now.
and Al will kind of go, but if you're stuck in your room, I guess maybe not.
Yeah, he says. I don't want to get a licking after all. Is Mr. Delaney gonna be okay? He seemed really sick. Did I upset him some way? He seemed kind of
No.
angry at me.
No, he wasn't angry at all at you at all. In fact, he was asking about you, wanted to make sure you were doing well. It's been, gosh, what? How long since you saw him?
Oh, he says. Eh, as his face pinches in a thinking expression. Mm, maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month. I don't know. Days go by so slow up here.
Oh, I understand. It's very boring, isn't it?
Well, I didn't say that, he says, but just slow.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But he used to tell me about you guys playing games.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he told you, he said. Yeah, he was really nice. He came down on foot. His clothes were all raggedy, but Pop and Mima, well, they took him in. They helped him out. They made him all better, you see? And then they just sent him on the way. And so when he was staying here, when he was, as Pop says, convalescent, he and I would, play hide and seek. He couldn't move around so much, so I would hide in the house and he would guess where I was. Really nice fellow. I'm glad to see he's better.
Al would look mock shocked when he said convalescent. And go, wow, I didn't know you knew such big words.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty smart. Mima says I'm smart like a whip. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. Whips are just objects, but I'll take it.
What about the other people that come through? Do they help all of them? That's a lot of people.
He said, no, most other people come in their cars. Mr. Delaney was the only one who came on his feet, and he was in a bad way.
Oh. Well, you'll be happy to know he's doing much better now, and he was asking about you, so I'll be sure to let him know you're doing better.
Oh, thank you, he says. Thank you very much.
I don't want you to get in trouble.
Okay, he says. Okay, bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
I hope your ears get fixed as he closes the window and gives a final wave as he disappears back into his room.
No, they won't. Oh boy. For player reference, how long have we been here in this dimension?
About 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Al's just gonna kind of finish his walk.
Okay.
And come back, circle around back in the car, and get in the car.
Okay.
And he's gonna go, so had a little chat with the kid.
Dex looks at Al earnestly.
And Al will do like a quick take to make sure that no one's in hearing that isn't part of our group.
Sure, well, make sure all the windows are rolled up in the car, everything's
Right.
closed, Pete's still smoking on his deck.
And Al's gonna go, so this might not be the easiest to hear, but according to the kid, you, and he'll point to Dex Delaney, came on foot with your clothes in tatters from this direction, from Balzac, and were hurt or out of sorts. And the people here actually took care of you for a bit until you were feeling better. And then you moved on to Velda City. And it was during that time that he played hide and seek with you.
Hurt, says Dex in a shocked whisper. I don't remember being hurt at all.
Al shrugged. He said out of sorts, and that can mean many things.
Which direction did I come from? The north.
Yeah, Al would say, from the north. On foot, no car, clothes in tatters.
Patrick, says Dex.
Yeah.
You're a doohickey. What direction isn't pointed? North.
It's been pointing north for a while.
Well, now we definitely have to go.
Agreed. One more thing he said. May mean something, may not. He said time moves slow here. I made a comment about it being boring. He said not boring, just that time moves slow. When we're dealing with this kind of thing, I mean, he could literally be saying that time doesn't move as quickly here as other places. Maybe 3 weeks to him was years to people outside in Velda City. Maybe you got here 3 weeks ago, but it feels like much, much longer.
If that's the case, says Lee, then if there's any sort of temporal distortion, we should be able to sense it one way or another. I'll be on the guard, and problem with temporal distortions, you understand, is that They're like getting stuck in quicksand. Sometimes it pulls you in, and the more you struggle, the harder it becomes. You have to keep your wits about you and find a weak point in the temporal field and pierce it with all your might. I can't say for certain if I can detect it before we enter in, but if we do get stuck in there, he says, it wouldn't be the first time I'd have to get out of some sort of time slip.
Well, if that happens, Al will take off his PPE necklace and hand it to Lee. Maybe it'd be best if you had more energy.
Yeah, okay.
And so, just for
Okay.
the reference, it's the 40 PPE.
Oh, okay. All right. Excellent. Great. Noted. All right. All right. Are you guys good to drive the vehicle outside of the gas station and head back up towards Balzac?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You hit the road again, although both your companions, Dex Delaney, is sullen and thoughtful, and kind of it's clear frustrations on his face as you keep hearing him muttering, like, I don't remember any of it. Not a single thing, he says. As Lee, on the other hand, is extremely alert and aware, and has said that when he says when, to stop the car immediately if necessary. Okay. As you drive down the road that has been tarmacked for a little while, as mentioned before, with a lot of these side roads, these country roads, it's more now packed dirt. However, the road once again, after another hour of travel, begins to smooth out into asphalt once more. And you see a sign that proudly proclaims, a big wooden slat sign saying, Balzac, 5 miles. Best little town in, and then the sign itself cuts off, as if the bottom of the sign was cleaved with a large implement or axe, or perhaps a chainsaw or something like that. A gnarled gash along the bottom of it, which makes the sign incomplete. And as you, soon after, maybe 15 seconds of driving afterward, that's when Patrick, eyes on the road, you first begin to see creeping mist begin to form in the road ahead of you. Nothing major, nothing thick like fog, just a very, very light haze, like what the environment would look like after a particular heavy rainfall. A kind of haze across the ground.
Mm-hmm. Patrick will definitely make note of it. He tries to keep a constant motion. Like he tries not to fidget when noticing such things.
Okay.
And definitely keeps an ear out for any of Lee's instructions.
Any what, sorry?
Any of Lee's instructions.
Oh, any of Lee's instructions. Okay. All right. All right. Am I good to keep on describing then, homies?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So as the tires continue to roll, and alert Lee is still, on the edge of his car seat, but not giving a shout out just yet, is when minute by minute the fog begins to get thicker and thicker. The mist begins to flow over the road, the white gray wisps beginning to block out the scenery on both the left and side of the road, until you are ensnared, well, not ensnared, but you are covered in mist itself, and then the mist turns to fog. Lee does hiss in between his teeth, and he says, "I don't sense anything just yet. This could be natural fog, but I don't think so. Keep sharp." And Patrick, you notice you have a good sense of direction, and since you're driving, you have a good sense of miles and distance, and the speed your car's going.
Mm-hmm.
You've gone at least 15 miles now. You should have hit Balzac already, but it's nothing. You see about 10 feet ahead of you in the road, but no signs, no people, no town, no nothing.
Patrick does actually note we should have hit something by now. Patrick then thinks for a bit.
As you're thinking, the compass begins to slowly turn. Whoop. Oh, for crying out loud, let me turn the entire thing, you stupid thing. There we go, thank you. Slightly to the east.
So what kind of a landscape was to the left and right of the road? Is it just kind of flat?
Relatively flat. Flat with a few odd bushes and trees and local vegetation, but nothing. Yeah. But
Right.
mostly, yeah, no big hills, no big valleys, no big ditches or anything like that.
Patrick is going to slow down, and he's going to go. Might need to go on foot, but I'm going to see how far we can take it by vehicle.
Okay, says Lee hesitantly.
Just
Dex,
be careful.
Yeah. Dex just urges and say, just go over that thing of yours is pointing.
Patrick adjusts and tries to go in that direction.
Okay. I want you to roll me D100, Patrick.
Okay.
Okay. You hit a small bump, and give me a moment. A small bump hits your front wheels as it's very clear, and you can kind of see before you. You're kind of going off the road itself. Pushing a few odd branches, you manage to find a small gap in which you can, fit the vehicle through. That's in between, a few sparse trees and bushes and anything like that. However, as you slowly and carefully drive and right the vehicle, it's clear that you're now driving on some sort of, simple earth, right? The tires kind of digging into the wet mud, not mud, but the wet ground. And at the very last moment, you do notice a tree trunk, very, very low to the ground. You are able to turn the vehicle quickly to the side to avoid the tree trunk, but you must have caught some sort of sharp rock or something like that. Because as you swerve to one side to avoid the truck to do any sort of damage to your front bumper or the vehicle itself, everyone in the vehicle hears a small pop as your vehicle starts to pull slightly towards the right, Patrick, and you have to really seize onto the wheel to make sure it doesn't completely go off kilter. It looks like you popped a tire.
Patrick will slow down to a stop
Uh-huh.
and say, "This might be hard. We're going to either need to go on foot or try to fix the tire."
Well, might as well see if we got the spare, says Lee, as he opens up
Yeah.
the door and gets out. And as he opens up the door itself, for a moment, all of you can hear a sound above you. You're not too sure as far as the distance, but it's this heavy whooshing noise. And you do see the mist above your heads, or above Lee's head, swirl a little bit as a large shadow, pierces through the fog itself, momentarily flickers across the top of the vehicle before heading eastward as well. You can't see really the shape of the shadow itself. It's just very large, very long. And the sound is almost like heavy sails flapping in the breeze, or like a really big flag or something like that.
Okay, that's not weird at all. I will say.
Yeah.
Lee nods and he grits his teeth and he says, "With all due respect to Mr. Delaney, considering we don't know exactly where we're going or if we're going to get able to find our way back, I say we repair this tire and head back towards that gas station and try again. Maybe the mist will clear up or something, but the hairs on the back of my head are standing up. I don't like being in this position."
Yeah.
On the other hand, Dex says, "No, we're close. We have to be. It's strange, but of course we knew it was going to be strange. Push on."
That's true. So what do we do, gentlemen? Do we
well-
push on?
None of us are sensing any ley lines right now, are we?
What's your range on it? When sensing ley lines?
We'll have to look that up real quick. Give me a second.
Okie dokie.
I think Tom has a better sense of it than I do, but I believe it's a mile. But let me verify that.
Yeah,
I'm
please
not.
confirm.
I'm not sure I can pinpoint anything like that. I can't check because I lost my external hard drive, which had all of my books and everything. So I don't know.
All right, I got it. Don't worry. Give me a
I'm
second.
sorry. Let's just say I don't have it for ease of everything.
No, it's well, Squee wants to know, so you can look it
Yeah.
up. It's not that long. It's not that difficult. I'll be doing this similar, because I know that people with magic OCCs and psychic OCCs have their abilities enhanced by ley lines, but
Yeah.
I don't recall the innate ability to detect them.
No.
Oh.
It would just be like, oh hey, my powers are beefier, so I
Yeah.
must be within X miles. Blah, blah,
A
blah.
mile of the exactly, precisely.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a. It's this way. Hell no. That Tom has nothing like that. It would.
Yeah.
It would definitely be just. I must be within X amount because I feel better.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like I think it says somewhere. I'm still looking. I think it says somewhere where you can sense if there's a ley line within any certain radius, and that would probably be because, oh hey, look, my magic
Yeah,
Kind
Yeah,
of
but I
thing.
would need to, know for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm still looking, definitely.
I do know that leyline walkers and Atlanteans can pinpoint, because Isaac has that ability innately, but I'm not so sure about shifters. Do you guys have that?
Being within close proximity to the ley line, within 2 miles or 3.2 kilometers, increases the range and duration of spells by 50%.
There you go.
So,
Yeah. So there you go.
So that's more of a mechanic type of thing, right? It doesn't say can
Yeah.
detect the presence of ley line or pinpoint or anything like that. So maybe the better way of asking it, Squee, is do I feel any different? Does my connection to the magical or the mystical feel any different?
I concur, and we'll use that from now on. Yeah.
No worries.
Does my magic feel any different or strange?
No.
Then Al would say, I mean, I'm not very experienced with this. Maybe Patrick or Lee would be better at it. But if there was a rift, that would denote possibly some sort of ley line, right? And I don't feel any different. Not close by.
Yeah, me neither.
I guess
It
Lee, have
might be
you?
true for the start of it. The exit point of any particular portal does not need, I think, a recipient side.
That's true. Besides, our good friend Tyrath can make portals at will, or he makes it seem that way.
That's
Most
a good
people, at
point.
least back on Earth, traveled via ley lines because most people didn't have the energy to call them up. Maybe these travelers ain't like most people. Or maybe there's more than likely there's something else here we don't know.
Well, here's the thing. If we want to go back and stay with the people at the gas station, that's fine. That's great. And wait until the mist passes over. But there's a good chance that what we're looking for we won't find if the mist isn't here. So it might be worth pushing on.
Dex nods eagerly at Al's suggestion.
After all, Tom had a good point that fog around here isn't supposed to be normal, which would denote an oddness in and of itself. I'm for pushing on, probably on foot, so that we don't kill ourselves trying to get there.
If we go on foot, how are we going to get back to the car?
Anyone got breadcrumbs? I don't think that's a story they know.
I got something better than that, says Lee. As he stands up to the trunk, he makes a small incantation and slowly traces his finger a circle with a few slash ticks through it on the trunk of the car. He says, "That's a glyph. I can sense that for quite some distance. My suggestion is we go as far as my sensing distance allows, and if we find what we need to, great, I can trace us back. If we go too far or we're about to go too far, then I'll have to insist we show back up so we don't get lost in this haze."
That
Sounds
seems
great.
more than fair to me.
Let's press
Dex?
on.
Okay. Dex gets out of the vehicle, puts on his trench coat, checks the ammo in his pistol, and he says, "Okay, we'll hoof it."
Yeah, Al will.
Patrick? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Al will subconsciously pat down all his knives in the various little places in his coat.
They're all there. Nothing's changed.
Thought it was muted for a second. Yes. Patrick is going to go and get his shotgun, wherever they put that in the car, and I guess head out with the group. No, he's generally in agreement, but I guess he hasn't said anything about it.
All right, who's holding on to this compass?
I assume I still do. I'm probably not going to have shotgun in hand. It's most likely going to be strapped.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're fine with that, Patrick, then I'm fine with you still carrying it.
Great.
Yeah.
No way to holster that thing. It's big. Big plate.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm assuming, Patrick, you're leading the way?
Yes.
Okay. All right. With Patrick leading the way, you all slowly and carefully make your way through the fog itself. When give me a moment. Just had a mind wave.
Sure. I know that feeling.
Awesome. Okay. You walk for about 15 minutes or so. The ground is still soft, slightly damp underneath your feet. And you do have enough sense of awareness. Like I said, you can see about 8 feet now around you. So you won't be stumbling in any rocks or tripping on over rocks or stumbling into any trees or anything like that. Much of the journey itself is quite quiet unless one of you player characters plans on being much of a chatterbox during this whole thing.
Nah.
Not I.
Okay.
I'll pass.
So the fog itself doesn't seem to muffle sound, but it's still eerily quiet. You don't hear any birds singing or crickets chirping, toads croaking, or any other sort of, fauna around. What you do, however, give me a second. Oh, what you do, however, do. Well, I can't say what you do or not do just yet, or see or not see just yet. Instead, what I like all of you to do is to give me a mental endurance check. So I want you to triple your mental endurance and then roll a d100 and let me know how much you succeed or fail by. Oh, wow. Al succeeded. Oh, wow. Look at all you succeeding. Oh, shit. I gotta do this for Dex and Lee. Yeah. Uh-oh.
And I succeeded by 19.
Okay, yeah.
I succeeded by 46.
Nice. Let me check Dex's. Times 3. Ooh. Okay. The three of you don't seem to hear anything. But all of a sudden you hear Lee say, "Wait, shh." And his ears perk up a little bit. He says, "Do you guys hear that?
Here
Morin?" He yells into the fog directly behind him. "Morin, is that you?"
Lee, Morn's not here.
"I know that," says Lee, "but I heard her voice. I heard her calling out." You don't hear that?
I didn't hear anything.
No.
Dex says, "Well, I heard something. But you said it was, who's this Morin? What does he sound like?" Lee says, She was a protege of mine, I guess you could say. He says, "No, I didn't hear no female voice. I heard a male one. Calling out that way, right?" And Lee nods, and he's pointing in the right direction.
Al would put a hand on Lee's shoulder and he would say, Lee, you know Morin better than any of us. Would she call out to anyone?
No, I'm not assuming that it actually is Morin. I'm saying there's a voice that sounds like Morin's. You don't hear it, and you hear a what? He says to Dex. You hear some man's voice? Dex says, "Yeah." Lee says, "Is it a voice that you recognize?" Dex says, "Well, it kind of sounds like my dad."
These are voices, I think, because we're not able to hear them. I think they're trying to distract us. Or do something like that. Have us
Lee
go a different
slowly
direction.
nods towards Tom. He says, Yeah. Yeah, probably. That makes sense. Emotional attachments or some shit. You're sure you didn't hear anything?
I did
Yes.
not hear anything.
I'm positive.
All right, screw it then. Let's keep going. You guys keep going?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You keep traveling for a half an hour. From time to time, both Lee and Dex once again hear voices. And each time they're in a slightly different direction, to the southeast, to the northwest. But one thing is certain. They're all in directions completely opposite, or at least different, to the ones that are pointing on your compass itself. During your travels, you don't see any other moving shadows in the mist, no other sounds above or below or around you. It's very quiet. Very, in other words, peaceful, perhaps. Just the sound of your shoes and boots squelching along the mud, until the mist itself seems to get at its absolute thickest. And when you get to a point where Lee is about to give a warning about sensing the distance from his glyph, is when something completely novel hits your visage. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Yes, sir. You're going strong.
Okay. The second I cut out or anything like that, let me know. All right?
Oh, we will.
Yeah, Wilder, you've been
Yeah.
great
Yeah, you've
quality
been-
tonight.
Oh,
yeah.
don't jinx
Yeah.
it.
Wow, Inferno. Wow.
I'm not.
Wow.
Oh, no. Okay. Anyway. Sorry, I've ruined the mood there. In front of you, before I mentioned the landscape had a few scattered pine trees. But now in front of you is like a wall of maple trees. Giant, towering, massive trunks stretching high into the sky, disappearing into the mist. But those of you who know your botany can discern, due to the sheer size of the trunks, these maple trees are abnormally large and quite old. There's almost an entire wall of them before you, with the exception of a small gap. And in this small gap, approximately 5 feet wide and as tall as the trees themselves, you see where the mist seems to be expelling from. Almost if there was a fog machine behind it, pumping this billowy, misty fog out into the environment. The compass is pointed directly at that gap.
Wow. That's new. Never seen that before.
Patrick kind of stares at it for a bit, and then looks over. He asks for the rest of everyone, does this seem any sort of familiar to anybody? I'm not even sure what I'm looking at.
I've got no idea. None.
Nothing.
I've never seen anything like it.
Both Lee and Dex shake their heads, echoing the lack of recognition. Well, says Dex, we gonna stand here all day? You can see Dex Delaney is visibly on edge. Normally, the detective is cool, collected. But his eyes are wide, his teeth are strained against his lips, and his hands clench and unclench. Al, you can see through the dilation of his pupils and other sort of facial and physical responses, adrenaline is just flowing through Dex's system right now.
Got it. So it's not to a dangerous degree or anything. It's just he's pumped.
Oh, he's
Got
turned up to 11. Yeah.
Got it. Al would look at Lee and he'd say, Lee, if we go over to that anomaly, would you still be able to sense the glyph?
Lee thinks for a moment. He says, I can't say for sure. I don't know if that's going to interfere with me. I don't know what's going on in there. Part of me says we take the risk and we all go in. The other suggestion is that I hang back for two reasons. One, if you get lost, you can follow my voice. And two, if you get in trouble, like with that fucking torpid anathema, you have some backup.
Agreed.
Patrick thinks for a bit. He shakes his head. I don't like this. You've been hearing voices for a while. I think you're better close than thinking that maybe one of us calls you.
But he's the only one that can find our way back. Maybe just two of us stay here. One with him, one that hasn't heard voices.
Lee says, I swear on everything I hold dear, if I hear anyone's voice that isn't yours, that doesn't come from that direction, as he points towards the hole, I will not follow it.
Al thinks about it for a second and then says, well, given how strange magic can be, how about a code word? Just in case I pop up behind you for some reason.
All right.
Want to go with the classic?
Actually, Patrick nods. We should not say it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We already know
agreed.
what it is.
All right. So you guys go. I'll stay here with Lee.
Out of character.
No.
Please don't split the party like that. I want all of you to experience what's
Yeah.
up ahead.
Okay.
Please.
No. It's
please.
fine. I was gonna say too is that Lee was saying that so that we were doing that password thing so that we didn't have to stay behind with them.
Either that or just
Okay.
take Lee with you. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, well, it might be, but you know what I mean.
No. I'm fine leaving Lee behind, and then we have the password, quote unquote, that we can't even say out of character because the pet magic might be that powerful.
Fuck off. I'm your magic. I'm your world.
The game
you are
is
everything.
real. We can't say it. It's everywhere.
All right, yeah, we'll go.
All right. Who's the first to enter?
Real quick, Al will ask for the necklace back.
Lee will hand it back to Al.
Okay, thank you. Then I'll go first if no one else wants to.
I want to, Squee.
Okay, I'll go after Patrick then, unless Tom wants to.
Unless Tom wants to go first.
Oh my God! If you guys don't go to definitely first.
All right.
Patrick,
So
go
the order will be going in this following order. It will be Patrick. It will be Tom. It will be Al. It will be Dex Delaney. We are going to be leaving Lee behind. There you go.
Yeah, that's good.
Just nearby, but yeah, behind.
Yes.
Yeah. Just in
You
case.
forgot Lee.
JIC. You didn't forget him. He's your backup. So. I'm doing one more last. You can hear me check, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can hear you.
All right. So, Patrick, you're the first one to, for lack of a better word, piss.
Whoa!
Pierce. No, Pierce. Wow, I just ruined the mood. Give me a moment. All right, let's all have a chuckle. All right, now we're back in. All right. You're the first one to pierce the foggy veil in this gap between these giant maple trees. The sounds of acorns crunching underneath your feet are soon the only thing that you can hear and the only thing that you can see. going through the fog is it's like a blanket has been pulled over your face. The fog is so thick, you can feel it across your cheeks, your body, your hand. This wispy, heavy air. You do not run or trip into anything, but for a very brief moment, you feel lightheaded. Soon that passes, and everyone else feels exactly the same, by the way, as they venture through it as well. And then, just as quickly as the fog thickened, it begins to lighten very rapidly, with every step more clarity of vision, until once again that fog turns into a mist, and the mist turns into a light haze. And what is before you is something that will take a moment to describe. First things first, it is a hazy, the ground is filled with long grass and flowers, with little strands of mist hanging through it. You still see the maple trees, but they're much, much further away, 200, 300, 400 feet away, and it appears to be making a perfect circle around the location in which you stand. In addition, although you can't see the moon or the stars, there is a darkness, a dimness that has fallen upon this environment. Before, moments ago, even though it was through the fog, the sun was managing to shine through. But it is not dark, because there is an object in the center of your field of vision that at least seems to illuminate the entire area. Hovering 5 feet in the air is a massive hexagonal shaped object. It is easily 20 feet in diameter, and along its entire surface are small honeycomb-like pockmarks that surround the entire thing. Instead of the actual edges of the honeycombs being wax or other similar material, it seems to be made of perfectly shined silver. And inside these honeycomb gaps, both light and mist seem to leak out and fall onto the grassy ground, around the atmosphere surrounding you, and one other very large object beyond this hexagonal object. And that is, curled around it, like a cat cuddling a favorite chew toy or ball, is a massive 200-foot-long dragon. It is reclined in the center of this forest bed, its tail wrapped around by its head, its giant nostrils inhaling air. It looks very old, very ancient, cracks along its scales, shimmering in the silvery light. It is in full color, a very dark greenish brown scale, and its eyes are a piercing blue, and it's looking directly at you.
Question real quick, GM.
Uh-huh.
Looks very old, but does it look decrepit or does it still look powerful and
It looks
dangerous?
ancient.
Mhm.
Sorry, so yeah, old, I don't mean old and haggard and weary. More ancient, venerable, big
Got it.
horns, big teeth,
So
strong
it
scales.
still looks like it could snap me in half if it chose to.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah,
the size
got it.
for it.
Yeah, definitely.
It looks like it could swallow you in one gulp.
Well,
So
Al would just kind of.
I'm gonna post something in Discord really quick. It's essentially like this.
Is it you pooping yourself?
No.
Oh,
Is
the
it the piss
dragon?
from the fog?
Yeah, that's actually
Yeah.
very. Yeah, okay, that kind of looks like it. Yeah. Bigger, a little bit bigger.
Mhm.
But yeah. That's a
Oh.
good visual representation.
Bigger.
Here.
Because that's not big enough.
A little
If
bit
you
bigger.
if you take a look
Like
at this
10%
one,
bigger.
if you take a look at this one, you can see even like vines and shit growing off of it. It's so
Yeah, that
old.
is actually.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like. That's
Should
a
I
good
put that on
aesthetic.
stream?
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
Stick that on stream.
Okay.
Al would kind of like talk out of the side of his mouth. Go. So, Patrick, you know a lot about these kind of things, right?
Patrick looks over to Al with a. You'd be surprised. He has a smile on his face.
I am not surprised.
He goes, "No." Thought I've heard of him.
Okay. What is it?
He looks back. Yeah, no, that definitely looks like a dragon. You know what, GM? Let me
Yes.
roll to see if I have any more information.
Sure.
Let's see.
Yeah, while he's doing that, is it safe to say that, given Tolkien and all that stuff, that Al maybe has heard of what a dragon is, but has never
Yes.
seen one?
Yes. Also, do you remember a dragon skeleton you guys got?
Oh, I
sure.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, imagine that, but with
Yeah.
skin still on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know what a effing Dargan is. All right. Give me a second, Patrick, and I will get you some more information. There was a little Spanish flea.
They have very
Inferno
durable skeletons.
is calling up his notes, and more specifically, the details on all the dragons. So good old Piffy gets some know how. Yes, he will. Oh, Inferno, why must you spill all of your words on the stream? Because okay, I can't rhyme anymore. I'm done. I'm done
All right,
rhyming.
guys,
I'm done singing.
If this goes sour and we have to kill it, save the skeleton. That worked out really well for us last time.
We didn't kill a dragon last time, Squee. We
But
killed a
this-
demon sitting on its skeleton.
I know. I'm just saying, if it goes sour, keep the skeleton.
You
Or
think we're
run.
gonna win?
Running's good too.
You
So
think we're gonna? Sorry.
okay, no problem. What you know about dragons specifically is that they are an otherworldly species of animal. They are not like gods or demigods, although they can achieve great power. Like humans, they are also tend to be they're natural predators. They can be aggressive and they can also be territorial. But unlike humans, they don't need a society or laws or anything like that. So there's a lack of uniform behavior amongst different dragons. So some of them have their own sense of ethics, loves, likes, and dislikes. So you can't generalize a personality about a dragon. What you what you do know about these is that they are extremely intelligent, extremely knowledgeable about magic, and they give me a second. And they tend to be attracted to places of power.
Patrick will turn to Al. I know a little about how dragons usually act, but like most people, They all kind of are different.
The maw. Oh, by the way, Tom, Dex Delaney is clenching to the side of your coat tight, as if you're a life raft that he's clinging on to, as his eyes are wide and scared, as he's pretty much hanging on to you for dear life, so to speak.
Okay.
The dragon's toothy maw opens up, and a deep, rumbling voice says, "You haven't run yet."
We're not sure if you intend to harm us. We certainly don't intend to harm you.
Big exhale, and you can see the mist flowing out through its nostrils as it says, "I had really hoped you would run." Well, I guess you were right. Your confidence was suitable. And with that, the dragon begins to shrink very quickly into the clothed form of a long-dressed, platinum blonde, blue-eyed Miss Johnson.
Son of a bitch.
As she says, "Welcome to the heart of Sable." And she looks towards Dex Delaney again.
Al kind of takes a second to put two and two together and then looks at Dex and he goes, "So, looks like you've been more successful at your investigations than you think."
Dex gives a weary, wary nod, looking over towards this metamorphized Miss Johnson, as he says, "Yeah, you got a lot of explaining to do." "Of course," says Miss Johnson. "I'll do so happily. But we'll get to you in a moment, Mr. Delaney. I think it's only fair that I answer the questions for the newcomers before we once again deal with the dilemma you will inevitably present me." She looks. Oh, God. Yes?
Oh, sorry. No, Al
I
was
thought
just...
I lost you guys for a second, but you
No,
got
no.
No.
All right.
Al would just quietly lean over to Dex and say, "She just turned into that from a dragon. Maybe some politeness would be called for."
She says that to Dex?
I say
So
that
you say
to
that
Dex.
to Dex?
Yeah,
Sorry, you
'cause-
say that to Dex?
Yeah, because he was just like, "You got some explaining to do," and I'm like, Dex, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And Dex will nod and follow your lead. Seeing that you're a little bit more collected in this whole encounter. In which Miss Johnson says, "I trust your intentions are the same as when we spoke back in your little ship. That now that you have turned over the Golden Rabbit, you intend on leaving." Please tell me you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry,
Okay.
just thinking of how
Sorry,
to...
these long ass pauses are freaking me out.
I apologize. It's just...
That's
no,
it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying you have to immediately talk the second I'm done. I'm just saying the reason why I'm doing this is because these long ass pauses freak me out. Pause all you
I
want, but
understand.
I'll just keep on saying, "Can you hear me?"
Okay. I would like to respond, if that's cool with you two.
Yeah, by all means.
Do
Okay,
not
yeah.
shoot her.
Yeah. Okay.
I light her on fire. Nah, just kidding. Yeah, we were planning on heading out. We had kind of assumed that our friend would have gotten us out of here after we finished our whole deal, but turns
no,
out
Tyrath would not be able to do that, despite his power.
but well, he's always done it before.
Yes, but that's because we have an arrangement with him. Or a recent one, at least.
Ah, interesting.
Perhaps it's best if I explain from the beginning
By all
to,
means.
she says, there's no point in hiding or obfuscating anything else. Every guardian of Sable ends up speaking these words to any new arrivals who discover our location or decide not to play by our rules. Sable, she says, as she gestures towards the large hexagon-like structure, is, well, I'm not sure exactly what it is. And I know it has a form of intelligence, but nothing like you or I would see as intelligence. We have thoughts and ideas, and we can communicate. We have philosophies, whereas this is a more emotional type intelligence. The longer you're around, Sable here, she gestures towards the object, the more you get a sense for it, the more you get not necessarily clairvoyant thoughts, but emotions, intentions, empathy, so to speak. And it is that connection that kind of brought me here. Sable is an otherworldly, perhaps other interdimensional entity, and it survives in an unconventional way. It does not require sustenance like food or water. It only requires a very small trace amount of otherworldly energy. This is reflected in your psychics and your magic users and other supernatural beasts. And you may or may not have noticed a very, very small amount just siphoned from you, so to speak. A very, very trace, almost unnoticeable for the average person. And it is this perpetual energy that sustains Sable. So if you are an interdimensional entity that requires other living beings for sustenance, but you do not wish to torment them, what you do is you create a home for them to live. And that is the Sable dimension that you see around you. We really are on mostly a barren rock. But thanks to the strength of Sable's power, it has been completely and utterly transformed by itself. An uninhabitable rock, and in another time and space and dimension, now habitable, with millions upon millions of people, living, loving, dying, betraying, learning, growing. Sable also loves stories. Also loves, well, frankly, I think it has a bit of a creative streak, which is why this reality is not, Miss Johnson would explain, conventional. I'm not too sure how it initially got the idea, but it was influenced clearly by some aspect of your ancient culture. Human ancient culture, of course, as she gestures towards Patrick, Dex, and Tom. So, here we are in Sable, a loving, nurturing, growing reality. But, as in many places in the Megaverse, these realities are not. They're not islands. They're not protected. They have no natural walls. There are very, very many evil forces in the universe. And if they knew what Sable was, they might try to capture it, kill it, use it, or simply conquer everything that it inhabits, what it has grown and cultivated. It is because of this that beings such as myself form a connection with Sable, once again gesturing to the hexagon object, and become its guardians, its protectors. But we are not police officers. We do not protect individuals within the reality. There are systems and structures within one's own society to deal with ne'er-do-wells. We protect the exterior. We ensure that interdimensional raiders, evil entities, vampiric intelligences, and other such entities do not pierce and harm Sable whatsoever. There are hundreds of us, Guardians, and every day we stop and deflect potential attackers and invite travelers such as yourselves. When it comes to human beings, at the very least, we have decided a particular approach. We insert you into the reality itself. We insert you into Sable's story. And in doing so, we then monitor you. Sometimes new travelers buy in to this storytelling, this new reality that we give them, new options. And they live and they learn, and some of them even stay. After all, many travelers leave their own realities to face something better. And Sable is, for all of its small faults, a very prosperous place to live and grow and have a family and meet others. Some, however, do not wish to abide by the rules we ask. They do not want to take part in the story, in which we bring them directly here, where we are right now, and we give them a choice. We say, either leave and we will send you wherever you wish to go, or if you stay and make trouble, we'll have to deal with you. Miss Johnson continues, I don't want to make it sound like a threat, and I'm not going to be giving you that dilemma at all. It is just a fact of life when it comes to travelers and ne'er-do-wells. Now, there are some entities that are so large, so powerful, so influential, or so connected, such as your companion Tyrath, and is intelligent enough and wise enough to come to a table of terms where we set limits. We have done so for millions of other travelers. Once they know what Sable is, they understand the limits, and they, most of the time, go within those limits. Now, she says, you guys can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, of course, the locals within Sable itself, sometimes, as she looks towards Mr. Dex Delaney, find by accident or on purpose the true nature of Sable itself. One such person in recent memory was the Djinn Baron. She gives a bit of a smile. He apparently disappeared in the midst of shadows, but you know what really happened is that he found out a little bit too much information about me, and through some surprising ingenuity that I thought for his criminal mind, found this place, Sable. And I told him he had two options. He could either go back and stay quiet and keep the secret to himself, or I could send him any other place he would dream. Due to his recent problems with vigilantes, he decided that going to another place was the best way to be. Of course, there are rumors of people disappearing within the shadows, but that adds some interest, wouldn't you say?
It certainly would.
Mm-hmm.
So, she says, I can assure you that all of your possessions, your friends, everything from the Falcon that first arrived and was very violent, so unfortunately we did have to temporarily turn him to stone, and your ship, which was transformed through Sable's power, once you leave here, all of your possessions will return unto you. This is an absolute and utter guarantee. However, go ahead.
That sounds fantastic. Go on.
Good. I'm glad. I'm very glad we're having this conversation. She says, however, Mr. Delaney, now we get to you. Delaney looks towards Al apprehensively, and then Tom, and then Patrick. And she says, this is not the first time you've been here. Dex nods and he says, well, I imagine. She says, this is the 11th you've been here.
Al actually goes, my God, man.
Jesus,
She said, he
You're
is
sorry.
tenacious. No, go ahead.
You're a fantastic detective. Damn.
She says, yes, and tenacious as well. So, I'll offer you this option one more time. We'll see if anything has changed. Mr. Delaney, we can't have you telling everyone the truth about Sable. People will exploit it. People will be fearful. People will either insist on leaving or they'll try and deceive and try to tap into its power. They'll try to manipulate it like that torpid anathema, the Order of the Lapine your friends are so acquainted with. We cannot allow this. So, if you go back to Velda City, you must promise never to speak this to another living soul, except for myself and any other guardians of Sable. If you do not wish to do this, then you may also leave. Go wherever you wish. The Sable can open a portal anywhere and everywhere. It is a part of its power. Dex runs his tongue along his teeth as he says, you forgot the third option. She sighs and she says, yeah. He says, I go back and I tell whoever I want because the truth is the truth, no matter how much it might sting. People have a right to know what you're doing to them. She sighs and she says, you make it sound like we're manipulating them, that there are slaves or subjects. Nothing could be further from the truth. Sable simply creates an environment, a world, and we give everyone else free will. Everyone. He says, a person in a cage is a person in a cage. And I have
Al kind of
Oh, go ahead.
Al
Go ahead,
kind
Al.
of thinks about it for a second and goes, but the door to the cage is open. Anyone who finds this place can leave. It's not really a cage then, is it?
Dex thinks for a moment and he says, no, it sounds right. And this all sounds awfully reasonable. But no, you know what the cage is? He says, it's ignorance. It's ignorance. What, you're supposed to go through 100 different loopholes, have the chance of stumbling upon something, and then you find out the truth? These people are kept here through their own ignorance. They don't know any better.
Al shakes his head. They're kept here because they have no desire to leave. Anyone who wants to leave Elda City could pack up and go. There's nothing and no one stopping them.
They don't know about this, he says. People have... How long has this been up here for? You thing? As she says, Miss Johnson will suffice. As he rolls his eyes, she says, hundreds upon hundreds of years at least, several centuries. So people live, die, born, have families, everything over and over and over. And she nods. And he says, what if you're born here and you never know, Al?
Again, they can go if they
How?
desire.
If they desire. They don't know if they desire, what they don't. They don't know the truth.
Dex, that's silly. If they grow up and they want to leave the town, they can leave the town.
You make it sound like they make an announcement to everyone who comes of age. Nobody knows. No one understands what's going on. This is a secret. So yes, once I managed to find this place, and this Jinn Baron did, but what about What about Henry? What about everyone else? They don't know they're still out there.
They don't know what exactly.
They don't know that this is all just a big farce. This big thing, as he points towards the hexagon, is controlling everything.
Al kind of shakes his head. How can you say it's a farce? The city is as real as any other place I've ever been. People live real lives with real relationships. What's a farce about it?
Miss Johnson gives a grateful look towards you, Al. As Dex begins to stammer and sputter. Patrick, you wanted to say something?
No.
Oh, I
No.
thought I heard you voice up while Dex was talking. All right.
And Al would continue. Think of the alternative, Dex. You go home, you tell everyone about this thing, and everyone learns. What do you think will happen? You know humans. You know us. This thing, and he'll point to it. What'll happen to it?
Dex sighs and he says, Johnson, I take it the reason why I have memory problems around this area is because of you? Miss Johnson nods. So if I don't do what you say, at least you'll do me the courtesy of not killing me. Johnson nods her head. She says, we're not animals. Sable is dependent on the life of others. Killing serves no purpose. But we have to ensure the secret, you understand. So yes, I will have to put another mental block in your head. And I imagine we'll be having this conversation again and again and again until you grow old and gray. Dex Delaney gives a yell out in frustration. Oh God, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So Dex Delaney gives a scream out in frustration as he sits himself down on the dewy grass and flowers. Miss Johnson steps towards him carefully, and although she doesn't extend a hand out to him, she does crouch down so she's eye level with the gentleman. And she says, if it's any consolation, you're not originally from here. The first time you came here, it took you a year or so to discover the truth. When I initially blocked your mind, I had to block out where you were from as well, because it would naturally lead you towards here. But you are a very clever man, and you found out regardless. If you wish, and if you promise to leave, you can go back home to where you're from, and with a touch of my hand, I will lift the blocks to your memory. You will remember everything. All of it. She says, but be mindful. A lot of those old memories, I imagine, have a lot of pain. And people don't run off to different dimensions unless they're running from something or running to somewhere. From our first conversation, Mr. Delaney, it sounded like you were running from something. But if you want, I'll release those memories, send you back. That's a way out of this cycle. I'm giving you an option out. Dex Delaney rests his hands on his knees, his head bowed down. My life's gone topsy-turvy, he says. Absolutely topsy-turvy. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you're just waiting for his decision, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is not a
Yeah.
decision we can make for him.
No, of course not. Of course not. He turns towards you, his companions, and he says, go get the other fella there. the one that's waiting outside. I want to ask you all a question.
I guess Patrick will unplant his feet and go over to Lee.
Okay. Going through the fog itself, you see a worried Lee looking at you as you emerge through the mist. And he says, "Is everything all right?"
Before anything else, pineapple. Yes, we
Oh,
should be able
Yeah,
to.
yeah. Pineapple. Yeah, okay. Oof. Sorry. Things just got really quiet for a long time. He says, "You do know it's been like half a day, right?" It's been like
Patrick-
3 minutes.
Patrick
Or like 5
goes,
minutes. Yeah.
No.
Well, it
looks
looks like
like
we found our
time's
time
almost-
slip. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got out just fine?
Yes. Looks like Dex wants all of our opinions before he makes a pretty big decision.
All right, he says, as he will follow you into the mist if you lead him through.
He does. He goes before he enters. Oh, just so you know what we're dealing with. It seems like Miss Johnson. There you go, brain. Miss Johnson, most likely a dragon, or disguise herself as a dragon to try to scare us. But from the color distortion from the scales, I'm going to assume that it's real.
All right, he says, thanks for the heads up. And as you and Lee enter, and sure enough, Lee does look with surprise. He has a couple questions, which are soon answered. We now bring ourselves up to the point of a dejected Dex Delaney, asking each of you, and he says, just answer me truthfully, as much as you can. If you had a chance to go back and fix something that you did was wrong, if you could turn back time and change the decisions that you made, would you do it or wouldn't you? If you want, I can have Lee go first. Oh,
Go
God.
for it.
No,
no,
I can
no.
hear you.
Okay, all right.
I know the answer. I can wait for others though.
No, you go
Squee,
ahead
you
first.
go. You go.
I would say in a heartbeat. I don't think it would change my overall path, but to correct mistakes, yes. To do things better, more intelligently, absolutely.
Patrick would then ask, would I lose what I have learned from that time if I rewound that far?
Dex pauses for a moment and says, no, you wouldn't. You'd still have memory of it.
Patrick opens up his mouth and says, I would go back in time because I think that would be neat.
Okay,
Yeah, that
says
sounds like
Dex.
Patrick.
Burn?
It depends on how far you can go. Because I mean, I wouldn't take back everything. Like, especially meeting you guys, I wouldn't take back anything about that. But earlier, when I was a kid, absolutely. Because I had some stuff that happened when I was a kid that I would like to change if I could.
Lee says, yeah, everyone talks about fate not being able to change it, but if you're given an opportunity to fix the serious mistakes you would have made, he gives a haunted look. I'd trade my life for it, let alone a little time travel. On which Dex gives a sigh. He says, damn it. I was worried you'd all say that, because it makes too much sense. Well, in my mind, I suppose we might as well go back in time. All right, Johnson. You got a deal. Unlock my memories and I'll go back to where I was from. You have my word on it. Johnson nods, giving a relieved smile. She looks gratefully towards the rest of the group as she says, "As you wish, Mr. Delaney. Or should I say," she gives a bit of a smile, "Mr. McDonald," as she brings her hand towards his temples, and with a brief exhale, you see a small flash of yellow light from her fingertips as they course down Dex Delaney's body. As he gives a bit of a quiver. Sorry, am I hearing something in the background, or is that just
No, I heard it
my
too.
crazy? Okay,
Yeah.
It
good.
might be
I don't.
shuffling or a little
Oh,
bit.
okay. No, if it's just you shuffling, that's fine. I thought it was someone like opening their mouth to say something, but it could just be clicking. Anyway, the course of light goes through Dex Delaney's body as he gives a small jolt, his eyes wide, looking around as he holds onto his head, and Miss Johnson says, "Just breathe careful. It takes a lot to have something like that. You have a lot of locked off memories." As he nods, and he slowly gets up off of his feet. And you can see when his head is raised, his hat is off his hat is off his head. It's on the ground now somewhere. And you can see his kind of mottled hair looking towards you, and like tears are streaming down his face as he says, "Damn you. Shit advice," he says, as he gives a bit of a sigh, and he says, "All right, Johnson, made a deal. You can send me back." In which Johnson will give a small nod, and she says, "Well, whenever you're ready, we'll arrange for it for you." Dex will turn to a small group of folks collected there, and he gives a wry smile, and he says, "I'm not so good at goodbyes. It makes sense. I kind of cut and run from the last few problems I had. But I want to say goodbye to you with my chin held up high and my hand in your own. Good luck finding these travelers of yours and saving the earth and all that. In all reality, I, do. I have a fondness for you, I suppose. But my well wishes of luck is a little selfish. After all, I'm from Earth too, and I'd like the place to stay in one piece."
Yeah, we'll do
Well,
our best.
you take care of yourself too.
"Yeah, I'll try," he says.
What area are you from, by the way?
"Era?" He says.
Area.
"Area?"
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Oh, Chicago."
Chi-Town.
"Yeah, that's what they call it, I suppose. No one said that for ages, though. That's an old term. No, not in the 90s, at least.
Then,
Just Chicago. Or the Windy City, I guess."
Whoa. I see.
the 90s. This is
Yeah,
going to sound weird, but what century are we talking about?
the 1990s? What other 90s?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, never mind.
You have
All
a good
right.
one.
Thanks, he says. "Hey,
Hmm?
You don't know the lotto numbers for the Lotto 649, in 1997, August 23rd.
Wouldn't
Sorry.
have a clue, I'm afraid.
Damn, he says. I guess I'm going to have to fix my problems another way.
Mhm.
And with that, Dex Delaney will take you all one by one, shake you very firmly by the hand, give a big smile. He's still wiping like tears away from his face from the memory unload on him. As he says, "Well, Johnson, let's kiss this popsicle stand goodbye." She nods, and with that, she gently taps the very top of the hexagon a hexagon object, as it slowly opens up. And inside of it is just a bright, hot white light, in which she gestures for Dex Delaney to enter through. He gives one final goodbye wave to the group as he disappears into the light. It looks like he's just walking into this white light before he disappears, and it slowly closes once again, spinning around very slowly, around and around, hovering in the air. Miss Johnson turns to the rest of your group and she says, "You're going to be a little bit more complicated. When you first arrived here, as far as a defensive mechanism for Sable, you were all unconscious for a short period of time. That allowed us to put you into the story, assess the threat, etc., and properly morph the objects that you had to more suit the environment. What you'll have to do is involve a little bit more trust. I and a few other guardians of Sable will once again render you all unconscious once more and shuffle you off towards the destination of your choosing. You just have to tell me where and when you want to go, and we will see you all. I will personally ensure it."
Well, see, here's the rub. Here's the problem with that. The entire reason why we came here and have been looking for, we've been looking for the Wanderers, the Travelers, these people who supposedly already fought this menace that is coming to our home, and we just want to know what makes them tick and how to defeat them. So we don't know where we want to go.
These wanderers, these travelers, we get many travelers here. But do you know anything else about them when they arrived or when they left?
Well, I'm not quite sure if time can really matter too much here, but 15 days ago.
15 days, she says. We'll say Sable days, not this environment that we're currently in,
Yeah.
says Johnson. "Oh," she says. "Oh, them. Yes, they didn't stay for very long. Once they arrived here and I told them what the arrangement was, they were eager to leave. They said that staying here too long would be too dangerous and they liked Sable too much. I do know where they went. I could send you right after them."
That sounds perfect.
Yeah. You didn't.
"Good," she says.
Did they tell you anything about themselves, or?
No, she says, "Not really. Not at all. I could give you a physical description."
Anything would be helpful.
"Very well," she says. "They appear to be a blend of both organic and machine, both robotic and organic, but not in a humanoid sense. They were very alien looking, they're all alien looking, but very non-humanoid. Strange appendices and ways of mobility. They were curious but fearful, very small in number as well. They, each individual was an individual, although made of the same parts, they were arranged in different ways. Some would have large dark eyes, some would have 7, tentacle-like feet, etc., etc. But they, despite their difference in design or make, they were respectful. When I told them the high regard Sable had for the sanctity of life, they said, and I quote, that life must be preserved no matter the cost. That is all, she says, I can really share. But, she says, as a thank you, you caused a bit of a stir with the Order of Lapine, but I'm glad that you ended up being victorious. They were insidious. In addition, I want to thank you again for maybe assisting in talking some sense into Mr. Delaney. I don't want to say I grew tired of having the conversation with him over and over and over, but I'm glad he's back to where he originally was from.
Yeah. That was a very surreal experience for us because that man is from a time that's long since passed from where we've been, where we're from.
I see, she says.
The
Wow.
honest truth is, I don't know if this, and he kind of just motions all around him, is right or wrong or the best way to do it, but I do know what we humans can be like sometimes. And what you're doing is probably for the best.
Oh, thank you, she says. There's a reason why I came here. Many of my kind desire power. And I do wield a form of power, but more in a protection sense that gives me purpose. And frankly, dealing with new travelers day in, day out, I never, ever, ever get bored. I've lived a very, very long time after all, and boredom is one of the worst enemies someone of my kind ever have. So, with purpose and excitement comes me and Sable. I will have to say, and as a final thank you, I'll have to tell Lawrence Carter that you're not going to be able to make that interview. He'll be a little disappointed, I'm sure, but he'll get over it. Maybe in a few hundred more years, he'll mature and actually be a part of our group rather than an affiliate. He's still playing, you see.
Yeah.
Also, the Mackenzies, we kind of promised them our bar after we left, but I don't think it's going to be there, so...
Well, they can have the hole in the ground that's going to be there.
Works for me.
Definitely works for me.
Excited Tom giggles.
I'm sorry.
No,
I
that's
still
good.
kind
That's
of...
a great reaction. Don't apologize. That's an amazing...
Yeah. I still kind of have a problem with them, but not really. I mean, I get it, but
they
they're
did
still
try
assholes.
to kill you, and they're
Yeah,
And they
exactly.
murdered someone just because... Yeah, they murdered
Yeah,
their
see?
employee because the wrong place, wrong time.
See,
so...
here's the thing. Out of character, Tom would be the most sympathetic with the that whole dynamic of I need to protect Rosie and all of that stuff. Because he has a girlfriend that is also not human. You know what I mean?
She's human. She's just highly mutated.
She is a werewolf, good sir.
Her DNA has been played with. Okay, so with that, everyone, I think I'll wrap up the session a little bit early because we're gonna stop everybody, and we as players are gonna start talking about the next place the group is gonna go to. So obviously, I can't give the specifics of where I'm gonna teleport your asses. But I'll start next session with like a little description of you, being put to sleep and shit like that. I'm gonna whisk you all away.
Okay. Sounds
Ruby?
good.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Any last questions that your characters might have for Miss Johnson? Because This is the truth-telling bit. So if there's any last details about Sable or anything that you encountered so far that you're just like, what the hell is up with that? This would be a good opportunity.
I
It
have
all
two.
makes. Go ahead.
Okay. You are a dragon, are you not?
I am, she says.
What is your name? Out of curiosity. Because we met a few.
Oh, she says, I like you. But one thing I've learned is that names wield power. There's a reason why I go by Miss Johnson. And out of respect for my privacy, and frankly your association with Tyrath, I prefer to keep it to myself.
You know, that's actually really fair.
Thank you.
Don't worry about it.
I got two.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious about the large vault under the Rhapsody. What is that?
Oh, she says, that's a holdover from the Gin Baron when he had property. He used to keep his valuables there. He was involved in quite a few criminal activities, and you can't keep your money in a bank when you're, a liquor runner.
Yeah.
And what was the agreement with Tyrath?
Oh, she says, yes, well, the first time he popped on in, soon after your arrival, we intercepted him and kind of asked his intentions. Tyrath mentioned that he wanted to visit with old acquaintances of his, and we asked him to be subtle about it and to not interfere with the security of Sable itself. Tyrath is standoffish, but not the most arrogant individual I've ever met, and we had some sort of mutual respect for each other. And I got the sense that whatever was going on in Sable, whatever Sable was, or the mysteries it might hold, was not around his area of interest. So he was pliable. The negotiations were short and direct. We promised not to do any abject harm towards you, and he promised not to interfere with us Guardians.
Wow.
I'm curious. Why this time period?
I've been asking myself that from time to time. I have absolutely no idea. I have a connection with Sable, and I understand its intentions and its desires, but I do not understand its creativity. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a mystery. It could be of anything from a movie to a photograph, or perhaps, she says, I'm a bit of an old romantic, and since you're leaving, you won't be telling anyone, so I don't feel bad about it. But perhaps, she says, the very first person that Sable found, the very first person to help nurture its new environment, perhaps it came from that time period, or perhaps it just knew of that time period and the stories inspired Sable itself.
Interesting. I'm a little curious concerning what Dex said about the cage. I don't necessarily think it is that, but what happens if someone, just a normal person, maybe someone who was born here, who knows nothing about Sable Dimension, decides to leave Velda City and drives off in a random direction?
Oh, she says, the mists don't show all the time. There are many other connections. There are many other places beyond Velda City. This is a very large dimension after all. The fog and the mist just channels folks. There, from time to time, locals get lost in the mist, but they always find their way back home. It's a little perplexing and confusing for travel, but it's just a buffer to ensure a final step, a final stage to ensure Sable's protection.
And does Sable in any way, shape, or form interfere, short of someone finding you, in anyone's lives whatsoever?
Absolutely not, she says. Absolutely not. Sable believes in life and happiness, and in order to have both, you must have free will. You must. We, as guardians of Sable, uphold this idea, without a doubt. We protect the exterior. We make sure no one harms Sable itself. As for the lies within it, for good or for ill, for selfishness or for good, everyone's decision is their own.
Al just kind of thinks about it and then shrugs, and he says, then I can't really see how this is much different than anywhere else. I mean, every place you go, every dimension is guided by rules and laws, and
Exactly. And who knows? Other deities or realities or entities. You never know. You never know.
So for whatever it's worth, given that we're leaving, your secret's safe with me.
No. Good, she says. If you ever do venture back, we'll just have to ensure that that secret is kept. If you ever want to visit, she says with a smile. But by the sounds of it, savoring your entire planet species, you don't sound like you have a lot of time for vacation.
No, we don't.
Hey, guys, out of curiosity, just because it's fun,
What?
want to like say, hey, if you're ever in trouble and want a group of adventurers that,
Give us a call.
yeah, give us a
Contact
call.
Kyrath, he'll let us know.
Something like that.
We could. That would be interesting. We could say that, but I would want to preface the point of we need to fix our own plane.
Oh,
We need to protect our home.
Reality.
Yeah.
First, my homie.
Okay, then Al would say something like this. He'd say, well, I have a habit of doing this too much, I think, but by now, hopefully, you have at least some respect for our capabilities. If Sable is ever threatened, because I would hate for something so unique to be destroyed, perhaps we could help you someday.
She gives a bit of a smile, and it's a little patronizing. And she says, come back when you're a bit stronger, perhaps.
Okay.
And then I'll take you up on that.
Al takes no offense. She's a flipping dragon. I mean,
Yeah. Hey, out of character, can we end because I gotta use the bathroom. Is that
Okay.
fine? It's either this
All right.
or
yeah.
we stay alive for another 20 minutes or whatever.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
So get ready for next week, everyone, where a new dimension, a new reality, and new friends will emerge. Dun 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 dun. Next
I like
week on
friends.
Rift.
Bye.
I like friends.
Yeah, I know you
like
do.
friends.
Bye.
Bye.